Today, I'm honored to be in the presence of the legendary, great Sello Maake, kaNcube, television actor, theatre actor, writer, author, poet. What else is it that you don't do?
A little bit of a poet.
Yes,
yeah,
thank you so much.
I mean,
yeah, no, really appreciate it. And how we need to give our viewers the background as to how you came about to be here.
Yeah.
Here to put aside everything that the meetings that you were going to have, and your lovely wife Pearl was saying that you wanted to spend time with your mentor who's not feeling well. So we don't take it for granted you being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Personal sacrifices.
Thank you.
Plus, you were an hour early because you're used to being on set.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I didn't want to be late.
Yes.
I didn't want to be late.
Why is that important? I think time management and just the respect. You know, when people just show up and make excuses, traffic, load shedding, why is it important for you to honor
time? You know, time is essential in life. And once you spend time, in fact, time is money. Once you spend it, you can't get it back.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And I think, you know, when it comes to situations like having to attend an interview, I think it's important, or even being at work, I think being on time is so crucial because everything is actually, you know, it's budgeted. And basically it means you have to know how to budget, you know, and like time is money, you know, money is time.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you learn how to budget.
To budget it and use it profitably. We also reflect on Ubaba Patrick Ndlovu, one of the iconic or prolific actors in South Africa, who passed on this week. Your
we've lost many. I mean, I think even in the very same week we've also lost Mariki Botma. You know, an amazing. You know, when I look at Mariki, and let me start with her. Mariki, you know, I mean, I just met her looking in the space. You know, but meeting on sets and whatever, and this young Afrikaner girl, you know, who basically, I think, just allowed herself to cross cultures. You know, I mean, she was, I think, a Johnny Clegg in the version of a woman, but not basically as intellectual, maybe as Johnny Clegg has been, and also as you know, as intellectual as Johnny Clegg, but as practical as what Johnny Clegg did in actually making sure that that as much as he was of a different race, but he respected the other culture and tried to live to its essence and its truthfulness. You know, and then Brapet, whoa. I remember working with him. We were doing a play, I think somewhere in the late 90s. A play called The Good Woman of Sharkville. And I've, you know, met him a couple of times on sets. You know, we used to call him Bra Styles. And I think one thing about him, Nana Le Style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was such a robust, working honest, and open to, you know, basically like what you see is what you get with him. You know, he was never gray. It was black and white. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is right, it is right. It was never, you know, it is right and wrong. No, he was just this, you know.
And the importance of principles, as you were saying, I mean, he was a role model and a mentor. And principles, again, go back to the respect of others, their time, not to just be casual about things, you know.
And I think he was also one person who was very prompt, I mean, very on time when it came to time.
Yeah.
He was there on time.
Yeah.
And also, you know, in that play, we also worked with Sello Maake. You know, and I went to see him yesterday. You know, I grew under.
Yeah.
You know, even though I didn't know him, but I had read about him. They were part of a group called Workshop 71, you know, that created a play called Survival. You know, I came to see that play through Darlington Michaels. Those are my predecessors. Darlington Michaels, Peter Sipuma, Macintosh Hwaele, he's late. Buitumele Dijwe is late. Dumam Nembe is late. And, you know, these are people that I grew up watching. Actually, Dumam Nembe, I saw him when I saw a play for the first time, when I watched Gibson Kente's How Long, that's when Duma was still a young man, Duma Mnembe. And that's where I got my inspiration to be an actor.
And you take us back to the early days. We celebrate you now. You are well acclaimed, worked in Europe for a long time. I think you were also part of the
UK. In the UK, yeah, that's where I stayed for 5 years.
With The Lion King. But before we get to your glory days now, the inspiration, it's often said that when you pursue your dream and your purpose, it really finds you. It's not something you have to struggle. You didn't want to be a doctor. All of those things didn't cross your mind.
Yeah.
But somebody had to plant that seed that says to you, this is your destiny. But you had to have the desire. So that inspiration that came with seeing that play for the first time, take us back.
I was 15 years old, 1975, Mofolo Hall. So
well, it's not near fella.
What's that?
But it's not near. It's like, when you're small or wet behind the ears.
Yes, yeah. And I saw How Long on stage, and I was mesmerized, and was like, wow. And I couldn't stop mimicking what I had seen in the play. And I had cousins who were like, working late teens, because I was 15, I was early teens, whether they were late teens, whether they were 19.
Yes.
And my cousin was friends with people like Bo. I think they were in the hood together. Len Maseko, who used to be the editor of Sowetan, Robert Magwaza, the photographer. And they were doing a play. So as Ntwana would constantly come in and say, hey man, do you remember when Africa did this? do you remember when he did this?
Yes.
And one of them said, hey, where's Lentwana Lena, man? Lentwana ngati talent, and they started writing me in the play. So my first time getting on stage was in 1976.
Wow.
Yeah, and as an amateur, and until then, 81 was my, professional debut with Bragib.
Wow.
As well, and another amazing human being. And I think one thing that we're not doing, I don't think we really pay to respect those who were before us as we should, And for instance, even Brapet, one would not see him in the theater space. And I remember in 1987, I made an observation with my colleague, Louis. And I said, Louis, tell me about white actors who are John Carney's contemporaries. And Louis, went to town, mentioning Charles Comain, Stuart Stewardson, all those people. And I said, give me black, who are basically Dr. John Carney's contemporaries, and are working in the theater. He couldn't go to the second. It was John Carney. He couldn't go to the second.
Yeah, and that's very tragic, because as you're saying, if there's no appreciation and support for the arts, we essentially have nothing left to pass on to the next
what is
generation.
Happening is that I think, at that time one would blame apartheid, but at this present moment we can't blame apartheid, because I think the curators of the theater spaces are not paying attention to actually putting things in a certain kind of order. And we actually have gone into this kind of deterioration and finding ourselves in a situation where it's like we are a child-headed family, in the country. And that goes as far back, for instance, with radio. There was a time where radio just got rid of an age group.
Yes.
And wiped them out.
Yes.
And brought young people.
So hold that thought
Okay.
to talk about ageism as well.